What do these three have in common? Sir Isaac Newton, mathematician, astronomer, and physicist. Marie Sklodowska-Curie, the first woman to win a Nobel Prize in physics and in chemistry. And Theodore Seuss Geisel, author of over 50 children's books. All notable figures in history and all introverts. I am both shy and introverted, and those terms are not synonymous. I'm the person who hangs out in the kitchen with the dog at a party. So you might think it's a little bit crazy that I'm up here doing this right now, but I really want to give a voice to all those quiet students in my classroom and yours because they have great things to say. I'd like you to all picture yourself in a classroom right now. Close your eyes if you like. You ask a question. Whose hand shot up? How clearly can you hear that kid's voice right now? Right? We notice the extroverts. It would be hard not to. Susan Cain wrote a book entitled Quiet: The Power of Introverts in a World That Can't Stop Talking, in which she wrote, there's a shared bias against both shyness and introversion in our society. She also wrote, studies show that we tend to rank fast and frequent talkers as more competent, likable, and even smarter than slow ones. Sometimes, though, introverts who listen more than they talk, that translates to more focus and more creativity, right? So we need to embrace the strengths of both the introverts and the extroverts in our classroom. Here's some ideas of how. Sarah Vanderwerf blogged about name tents last summer, so I decided to try it. The idea is each student writes their name on one side of the page, and on the back is a feedback form. Every day, they write something to you, and you write something back. It becomes a little conversation between you and every one of your students for that first week of school. You learn some really interesting things about them, and you show them that you care about what they have to say. So, lesson number 1, recognize the power of writing. If you ask me a question orally, I may not be able to form fully coherent sentences because of the anxiety I'm feeling in that moment. But ask me in writing, I'm good to go. So along with feedback forms, encourage your students to write notes to you on their homework if they're struggling or if they have questions, and respond to them in writing as well. Passive forms of communication like email and social media also really help introverts find their voice. And finding their voice can start small, really small, with little whiteboards in your classroom. When I run Estimation 180 activities, each of my students writes their estimate on a whiteboard and then holds it up for me to see. And for some of these kids, it's really, really difficult to do that. So we need to help them become risk takers. Like my students, other than Andrew Stadell, I'm pretty sure you all have the wrong answer to this. But making mistakes is part of learning. If we can try to make those risks low risks at the beginning, then hopefully they'll be willing to try again. And as a teacher, focus not on the right answer, but who was close, who had a good strategy for determining their estimation. Estimation 180 is a great way of getting all students participating in class. And participation takes many forms. If a student is engaged in the mathematical work you're doing in class, they are participating. Small groups encourage introverts to be part of an activity over whole class activities, but everyone needs some quiet think time before you start having conversations. Once they've had a chance to think about it, then they can share what they found and compare results. And it really does help them have a voice. I have no idea what my next slide is. There we go. Introverts who are passionate and confident about a topic will talk a lot. One great way of getting them to do this is which one doesn't belong. The idea here is they have to say which one doesn't belong and why. This is a really low-risk activity, so everybody can have an answer, and this brings out really, really rich, deep conversations about the math that you're studying. Took longer when I was practicing, I tell you. Ironically, yeah, work on your wait time. Okay. Introverts have trained for years to be silent, to wait out their peers and teachers because they know silence makes people uncomfortable. When you ask a question, if a student doesn't respond, how long do you wait? We know that we can outlast you, and you will prompt us with a more leading question or give us the answer. Don't. Make sure that everybody's contributing and value that contribution. Let's invite all of our students to be part of the conversation. Let's make sure they all have a voice that's appreciated, and let's show them all what they can do. Create a community in your classroom. Who knows? Maybe the next Curie, Newton, or Dr. Seuss is in your class too.